Namaste. So we will start our today's class. Okay. So we'll start with Mangalam. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. So today we are going to start fourth chapter. So every chapter in the beginning they have one sukti that we know as of now. So sukti is again it is a short form or combined form of su ukti. Ukti means something told, su means good. So something good told. So let's see what is the chapter 4's sukti. So this is this Udyoginam Purusha Simham upayeti Lakshmihi. So when it is written in together in all combined, it is written as Udyoginam Purusha Simham upayeti Lakshmihi. But when you will break, it will look like this: Udyoginam Purusha Simham upayeti Lakshmihi. So let's see what are the meanings of these things. Udyoginam. Udyoginam means somebody who is active, who is constantly doing efforts, who is not leaving the efforts. He is called as Udyoginam. Purusha Simham. Purusha Simham means a person brave like lion. Brave in the sense like maybe taking risk or something. So a person who is constantly trying, who is brave, to him, Upa is near. So as we saw some other words also with Upavasa, Upavana. So here Upa is near. Eti means Gachati. So Lakshmihi. So Lakshmi, goddess of wealth, goes to them who are always active and they are trying something and they are brave in taking some bold steps. Those who are not trying, sitting on fate, or those who are just comfortable in whatever zone they are, to them Lakshmi doesn't go. Other way you can say that way. So this is our today's sukti or subhashita, small subhashita. With this we'll move to next thing. So here, since today we are going to learn something new, so we'll do a small revision or very small recall of some concept. So we know like varnas, all the varnas make padam, and there are two kind of valid padam in Sanskritam. So except these two kind, you cannot use any other thing, and that will not be valid. So one kind of padam is called as grammatically sup, and the real name or the name what is used in world is called as nama. Other kind of pada is called as thing, and which is the real world name is or our prapancha name is kriya. So kriya mostly denotes the action happening where in a sentence, and naam is that relates with action in many ways. Who is doing, by what they are doing, like that. So, but bottom line is there are only two kind of padas. One is uh, sup and other is thing. So one is namapada and other is kriyapada. So if we see further, so if we take one kriyapada as an example, so that is pathati. So this is a kriyapada. So let's see pathati gives us what and what meanings. So first thing, it tells you the dhatu artha. So we know what is dhatu. Dhatu is the verb root. So all the verbs are derived from dhatu. So first thing any verb tells you is the meaning of the that particular root. So when you say patha, here root is patha, so you will understand its meaning, because patha means to read. So you got a idea like what actually this formation will mean. It is something related to study or reading. Second thing you will see, it tells you about the vachanam, like how many, the action what this verb is depicting is done by how many people. So it tells this kriya pada will tell you like this particular action which is reading is done by how many people. So it will tell the vachanam. Here it is done by one person. So that is why we say it is eka vachanam. So next thing it tells who is the person who is doing this action. So you can see here like it is the purusha. So purusha tells this action, whatever is happening, is done by whom? Who is the person doing this particular action? And the last thing as of now you can say, it tells what is the time when this action is happening. So now these four things, later when you will, anytime you will study some detailed grammar, then you will see like there are further things which Kriya Pada tells, Phala, Vyapara and all those things. But as of now, you can just think four things. So the moment you listen or read verb like Pathati, you first figure out like what is the root. So by root, you will figure out the meaning of, the vague meaning of that particular word. So if I say you likhati, so you will say, okay, likhati is made from likh dhatu. Likh is the verb root, and likh verb root means to write. Then you will say, okay, ti is there. Ti tells it is a singular. Ti tells like it's done by third person or pratham purushaha, and ti is telling it's a present tense. So as of now, whatever we have done was only for one tense. Because of that, we didn't put much focus on this part. Now we are going to learn some new tense. So if you know this, then it would be good. So now if you see, these three things will not change when you will learn any new tense. Dhatu artha will remain same, because if pathati is present tense, will be whatever pat dhatu is there, same dhatu will go in past tense or future tense also. Similarly, they also will have purusha, the person who is doing. They also will have vachana, means the singular or plural or dual. They also will have. Now the kala, the time of action will different. So okay, let's stop here and just recall quickly. So as of now, we are saying any Sanskrit sentence is made of only two kind of words or two type of words. So one is called as nama. Grammatical name of that pada is sup. Other type of pada is called as kriya. Grammatical name of that is thing. As of now, just I am telling for just to have some connect. It is not required. If you don't want to know this, it's okay. Then in any action, what a particular sentence, what is the definition of sentence? So that we discussed earlier, like at least one action should be there in sentence. So that is the definition says like ek ting vakya, means at least one kriya should be there in something, so that can be called as sentence. So now it comes to kriya. So what a kriya, what one particular kriya tells you, that we saw, it tells you the meaning of root, what is the root it is coming. So from root you will understand the vague meaning of or the abstract meaning of that particular kriya. Then there are some suffixes and sometimes prefixes. So those suffixes, prefixes will tell you all these things also. What is the, how many people are doing this action, who is that person, it is what person is doing, and what time it is. Similarly, when you see the nama pada, any, like example Ramaha, so here also you will, first thing you will understand the meaning of Rama. So here meaning of Rama is some person. So along with that it will tell you the gender. This is for noun. Here you see there is no gender, but this fellow will tell you the gender. Sorry. So this fellow will tell you the gender, and then noun also tells you the vachanam. Means here also noun also will tell you the vachana, and the fourth and last thing is which is called as vibhakti. Vibhakti English equivalent is declension, but what it is that we may see in chapter 5, I think. Yes. So till that time, you just keep it like this. This part is not explained till that time. As of now, the any noun, whatever you come across, when they are, they can be used in that form. They are not in noun root form. Then they will tell the meaning of the name, what is the gender, and how many people. So here Rama means Ram is some person, he is a male, and he is he currently is doing whatever action, whatever sentence he is in, he is alone, ekvachanam. So with this, we will move to our today's understanding. So this is called as Bhutakala. Bhuta means past. So the normal name is past or Bhuta, and the grammatical name is Lang. So like we saw that our Vartamana Kala was, the grammatical name was Lat. So here the grammatical name is Lang. As of now, it is not required for you to know. In chapter 10 of this book, you will get initial introduction of these things, and I also will discuss it at that time only. So let's see how the verb changes when it is used for representing action which are done already, means which are already completed. So it is past. So if action is done by somebody who is third person, who is not either me or you, and the model word I am taking, model dhatu I am taking is pat. This dhatu means to read. So if the third person is there and he is doing the reading action alone, he had completed the reading action alone, then we say apathat. See the pronunciation hint here, that this ta has this bar. It means you don't have to pronounce ta at the end, a at the end of this word. Like you cannot pronounce apathata, not like that. You have to say apathat. After ta, no swara sound. So if he is reading alone, apathat. If two are reading, apathatam. If many are reading more than two, then apathan. Similarly, if person next to you is reading Madhyam Purusha or second person, then it will be for one apathaha, for two apathatam, and for more than two apathata. Here you see this is complete full. So difference between apathata and apathat is only one swara is absent here. Otherwise, the two are same. So what I'm trying to tell here is that when you are pronouncing, you have to pay proper attention, because if you by pronouncing mistake, if you pronounce this one instead of this one or vice versa, then meanings will be different. Since most of you might be seeing this first time, so you may feel like it is too much to learn to start, but it is not like that. If you learn any language which you don't know, same feeling will come to you. So it all will, if you really want to see like, is it really that is so much you have to learn, then you just start using it. Then you will find that you can express yourself in the least vocabulary in Sanskrit. Like you don't need to know so many things, so many rules to start expressing or understanding, like shloka and all. So just if you are not agreeing as of now, then also it is fine. Just keep your morale up so that your mind keep on accepting what we are discussing. It doesn't drops out at one place like no, this is not my cup of tea, something like that. So then we'll see the action done by self, that is called as Uttama Purushaha. So if you are doing yourself alone, then you will say Apatham, I read. Apatha, we too read. Apathama, we all read. So this is the Kriya of when past tense is there. So now you see patha is the root, same root as it was there in pathati. Now something came in back, that is called as suffix, and something came in front, that is called as prefix. They are different name in Sanskrit for them, but we'll discuss them when time will come. So patha, if you see a pathat, immediately with some familiarity, you will figure out like, okay, it is something related to pat, and pat means read. So now first thing you got, half of the meaning or one quarter is there. Second thing you can see, it is all starting from a. So this you can make a marker. Like if pat is there and it is starting from a, then it is past tense. So kala also you came to know. With little practice, you will come to know that how many number of people are there in that action, and then the remaining thing will be the purusha, who is the doing. So this you can, if you practice a little, this also will come. So it is not something which should look something big to you. Again, consideration is like you have to do practice. Without practice, anything is a big thing. So now we know, like as of now, we know dhatus are of three types. Actually of two types, but for understanding, we say three types. One type is parasmaipadi dhatu, other type is atmanepadi dhatu, and other type is ubhayapadi dhatu. So how they are qualified? Dhatus, all the roots are collected in a book or in a text which is called as dhatu patha. So in that book, whatever 2000 roots are there, which are responsible or which make all the words present in Sanskritam. So nearly all, few comes from some other way, but that is very less, 1-2% you can say. So when they are defined in that dhatu patha, then they are told like they are atmanepadi dhatus or parasmaipadi dhatus, or they are of both types. What you have to understand for this atmanepadi and parasmaipadi is that the form they will take, it will be different. So parasmaipadis, all parasmaipadi of one class will be in this form, but atmanepadis will not be in this form. So that you can understand that way. So as of now, what we have seen is the parasmaipadi form. Why? Because pat dhatu is parasmaipadi dhatu. Let's see some dhatu and how that dhatus generated verb words are there in Bhutkala. So we'll see that. So let's now see for Atmanepadi Kriya Rupani. So start making sense from here. This is Rupani. So this is plural, and singular of this will be Rupam. Rupam, Rupe, Rupani. So Atmanepadi Kriya Rupani. So now the Kriya we are taking, I think I forgot to remove this. Yes, it should be Vand. It is not Pat. So now if third person is there, the forms will be like this: avandata, avandetam, avandanta. Actually, these are not very like unconnected forms. So once you will start using, then you will see the pattern also inside them. Anyway, the way these forms are achieved, that is a mathematical model. So if you know computer programming, so you can write a simple code. You give this dhatu, Vanda dhatu here, and it will generate a form. That I have a comprehensive program written some time back, so I need to include that in Sakalyam. Will include in some time. So if you enter the dhatu, it will generate all the forms, and that doesn't require any big knowledge of Sanskrit also. Whatever I was able to understand, with that only I was able to do it in within a week or so. So this all has pattern. They are coming through a process. That is what I am trying to tell you. So initially, if we or you start learning that process, then it will be too much, and the main goal will get lost in that. So that is why you have to initially put faith in yourself and myself and the language you are learning, and whatever it is, just accept. Like, okay, if I have to tell some third person in past tense, or some describe some action which is done by third person in past tense, and the verb type I am using to describe that action is a atmanepadi verb, then I will say like this: avandata, ayachata. So why I am saying like this? Leave that question for some, I think, around 1 year. So after that you can ask that question and you will be able to understand the answer, and you may get answer your own. So if one is doing avandata, if two are doing avandetam, if more than two are doing avandanta. Here also you have to mark this. They are not, this sign is not there here. It means they include a sound at the end. So you have to say avandata, not avandat, not like that. So for the second person now, the forms are Avandhatha. If somebody in front of you is doing the action, this one the action, salutation action alone, then it will be Avandhatha. If two are doing, then Avandetham. If three are doing, or two or more are doing, sorry, more than two are doing, three plus are doing, then Avandadhvam. So one thing simple you can see, every Madhyam Purusha will have this tha somewhere, right? Every this Bahuvachana will have na somewhere. Pathanti or avandanta. Every these duals are having tam or tham or tam, like that. What I'm saying, once you will start using, then you will see the pattern. So, but initially I don't recommend to remember it and then use it, because I feel like that is not the proper way. Being a natural language, if you practice it, then your mind will pick up the whatever the pattern hidden behind that, mind will pick up without explicitly being known to you. So if you remember, if you learn any language, you had learned any language apart from your mother tongue. So you see, after a time when you feel like you have learned, the effort is not there when you are speaking or reading. So everything happens automatically. A closer analogy will be, if you see, if you learned driving car or bike or cycle, so when you start learning, then you feel like there are too many controls here. One hand I need to press brake also, then this also. If somebody will come suddenly, then how I will manage? All feels very intimidating. But the moment your mind learns the pattern, then even when you are driving, then you can listen, or people listen music, they talk to co-passengers sometime, they see phone also. Legally it is not allowed, and also it is not good, but you are so expert that mind has understood whole process. If some dog jumps and all, you don't know, but in fraction of second, brakes gets applied its own. So similarly, if you do the practice, not remembering, if you sit in home and remember, I have to press clutch first, then I have to take gear to first, then slowly I have to release. So I think you will agree, like this way you will not learn the car anytime in near future. So the only refuse is that just take the car and go. Start using it, because you are training your mind. So once mind will get trained, and for that it takes time. Same thing I am requesting you to do here also. Just take these words, have this table or have this map in front of you, make sentences, 100 sentences. One, that is why the quiz and all those things we have. So make sentences. If you keep on making, you to you it may be looking like every time I'm doing same mistake, but internally in background mind is learning it, and someday suddenly you will start making everything correct. So till that day comes, the only thing is to practice. So now Uttam Purusha will see, means when the action, the doer of the action is self. So then you will say avande, avandavahi, avandamahi. Here also you can see in all Uttam Purusha, Dvivachana is always having va. in all Uttam Purusha, Bahuvachana is always having ma. So again, here also everything starting from a. So this is a perfect marker to figure out like this particular verb is in past tense. So with this, I think we'll see some small formation of sentences. So first we will see the Parasmaipadi Vakyani, sentences which are made using verb root, Parasmaipadi verb root. So again we'll use our model root. So since you know one, if you know one root, then you can make all of that group, that Gana. So the only one you have to learn, rest all are same. So suppose the verb is apathat. So by whatever currently our knowledge, the apathat means is read. So this is somebody third person and he is doing alone, apathat. So if you see the matching pronoun saha, so saha is again third person alone. So this you can make a sentence using these two. So we can say saha apathat. He, that boy or masculine, read. So similarly, now for any third person, you can use the same way. So you can say Ramaha apathat. Rama read. Now, if you come for second person, then you will say Tvam apathaha, because this is the verb for second person singular. And for first person singular, it will become Aham apatham. Apart from these, one other thing to mark is like in chapter 2, I think, or chapter 2 or 3, I don't remember exactly. We have seen like how to write Anuswara. So this, when to write dot, when to write ma, we had seen. So you can see here, everywhere we are writing ma, because being the past tense verb, every verb is starting from a. So since it is a swara, we are writing here everywhere ma. Instead of anuswara, we are writing makara. So tvam apathaha, aham apatham. Let's see for dual. So dual, these are the nouns and pronouns. So this is the third person pronoun. Saha in dual becomes tau, those two. Ramaha in dual becomes Ramau. Here it is one Rama, here these are two Ramas. Tvam, you becomes Yuvam, you too. Aham, I becomes Avam, we too. So let's see how the sentences again, and this is the verb apathatam. Apathatam is the verb for third person dual. Apathatam is the verb for second person dual. Apathava, va sound is coming, it is means the verb is for second person, sorry, first person dual. Let's see it now, making sentences just matching. Tau apathatam. So those two read. Ramau apathatam. Two Ramas read. Yuvam apathatam. You two read. Avam apathava. We two read. So like that. So if you see, there is not much change from Vartaman Kala, only change is your new verbs. And now, as of now, you have 18 new words. So in every tense, when you are going, you are getting 9 new words for Parasmaipadi and you are getting 9 new words for Atmanepadi. So 18 new words you are getting, that is the only new thing. So every tense, whatever you will see 18 new words. Rest all will remain same. So similarly for Atmanepadi Vakyani also you can make like that. Saha avandata here. Then Ramaha avandata. Then Tvam avandathaha. And Aham avande. So Vanda means salute. So Saha avandat. He saluted or he prayed. Ramaha avandata. So Ramaha paid or Rama prayed. So like that. Then for dual it is Tau avandatam. Those two did praying or prayed. Then Ramau avandetam. So it is same meaning. Then Yuvam avandetham. So you two did the praying, and then Avam avandavahi. we also did the praying. So this is as simple as this. So now you might have understood. Your root became same. The only thing is how to make these new sentences. And as of now, you are not learning the process. You are learning the direct sentences. These sentences are already made for you. You have to pick them and start using them in sentences. Suppose earlier I had a situation where the sentence was he is praying, so we'll say Saha Vandate. Now we'll say, suppose after a minute he is done with praying, so same sentence will become Saha Avandata. He prayed. That is it. So we'll do exercise of this, but after finishing this thing, so I will go to book and then we'll see further. So there is one other concept which is told in this particular chapter, so that there is some extra thing also, but I will not cover that because that is something which is explained clearly in next chapter, so will not touch that here. So there are two terms here, karta and karma. Karta is the doer. So doer of what? So doer of the action. What action? Action happening in sentence. So suppose you are speaking, I am going. So you are there. This is a very simple sentence. So you will say, I am going. So you just think like listener. You spoke. First, you thought in your mind like you have to express your whatever desire that you are going to go. Then your mind thought this thing, mind framed the sentence, and then mind instructed your stomach and nearby area to generate air to say the two-line sentence, and that amount of air is generated and sent upward. So it comes to your throat, and then your mind tells all the different things how to make what position they have to go and set, so that that sound, that air when comes out makes this particular sound. Now this the process completes when it comes out of your mouth and that particular sound is generated. Now the other side process, reverse of this will start. A listener is there in front of you. He will understand that particular thing. Again, he will listen from his ears. After listening, he will send that data to mind. Mind will take, mind will figure it out, separate everything, and then it will try to make a sense out of that. And after that, mind will give us some kind of acknowledgement. So you may smile or you may get angry. That is the reply of that, acknowledge that you got it. So these things comes when you understand one, after listening something you have to understand what is the intent of speaker. So then you make so many distinctions. So there is a full science for this. That is a very developed branch in Sanskritam, that is called as Shabda Bodha. Bodha means knowledge and Shabda means from Shabda. So the understanding or knowledge from words. So people have, our earlier ancestors have done too much of work into that, and that is even relevant today. So there, to map that thing on very early stage, you can say we start figuring out these component in the sentences what we read and speak. So in any sentence, we as of now we saw like in definition of a smallest sentence in Sanskrit is single verb. So we say ek ting vakyam. Vakyam is sentence. Ting is the grammatical name for verb. Ek means one. So the simple or simplest sentence in Sanskrit is a single verb. So now verb is called as kriya. So kriya is what? Action. So because this all whatever we are reading, it is all for something, it is a representation of what is happening actually. So when you are speaking, you are not thinking this is kriya, this is karma, this is that and all, right? So you are just speaking because your system already knows everything and you are just speaking. Listener also is trained, but if you have to teach somebody, then you have, these are the methods, the way it is taught. So Karta in a sentence is the person who is doing that particular action. And karma is the name. So karta is in English, it is called as subject or agent, like that. So, and karma is the object, why he is doing that particular action. So suppose in this word, in this sentence, this is from book only, that is why I took this. So in this book, now you can easily figure out if somebody, if okay, if I am telling you in English, so I say Rama is reading a lesson. So if I ask what action is happening here, you will understand reading is action. So then if I ask who is reading, so it means I am asking you, when I say who is reading, I am asking you whatever action is happening in this sentence, who is doer of that action. So you will reply obviously Rama is reading. Then I will ask what he is reading, what Rama is reading. So I am asking the object of what the action is happening, why you are doing that particular action, what is the object of that. That is called as karma. So let's see in Ramah Patham Pathati how it is figured out. So whenever you get a sentence and you want to know what is the karta in that particular sentence, ask a question on the verb of sentence. Who? So who in Sanskrit is kaha. If the doer is male, if doer is female, then ka. So here you will ask kaha pathati. Remember, our intention is to figure out who is karta in this particular sentence, who is agent in this particular sentence. So if you ask who is reading or you ask kaha pathati, the reply you will get Rama pathati. So Rama is the karta or agent. Similarly, if you ask what Rama is reading, Kim Pathati, what he is reading, then you will get a reply, Patham Pathati, he is reading a lesson. So, the lesson is the object of reading and reading is done by Karta Rama. So, whatever is the object of reading is written like this, Patham. Suppose Rama becomes object of some action, so it will become Ramam, like that. How that will happen, that we'll see in vibhakti, whatever I told you in first slide, like there is a vibhakti thing that will come in chapter 5. So as of now, what we have to understand here, there are three components. One verb is there, one doer of that, one action is there, one actions doer is there, and this is kind of result of that action, what for what this action is getting done. So that question only you ask, what he is doing. So in other way, we can say, if you figure out verb in any sentence, in any big sentence, whatever big it is, if you figure out the verb, then you will be able to relate the meaning. You will figure out the meaning by asking these questions. Like, who is doing this action? Suppose I say, Shyamaha lekham likhati. So likhati, first you have to understand the verb. You figure out the verb likhati, you got that this is the verb. Then you can ask kah likhati, who is writing? So then the reply of that will be the action doer of that action in this sentence. So it will tell Shyama likhati. So again you can ask him likhati, what he is writing. So you will get a reply lekham likhati. It is not true only for small sentences. All the shlokas, big shlokas and gadyas, they also are done and dissected and understood in this way only. Even in Gita and all, when you will read, they also, if you have to understand shloka your own, you will do this way only. You will figure out the verb, then you will ask questions on the verb to figure out exactly crystal clear who is doing what. So our intention here was that there is something called karta, there is something called karma. How to figure out karta and karma in a sentence. So this is what our learning was, and let's see why we are learning this. So there is a new classification is coming up. So it is telling not all the verbs will have an answer for what question. So when you will ask what on verbs, not every verb will reply you with something. So some verbs will reply, some verbs will not reply anything. Means the question itself will doesn't look applicable. So how that will, once we will see examples, then you will understand. But as of now, you can see there are two type of verbs which have object and which doesn't have object. So depending on these two types, the verb which has object, which has karma, they are called as sakarmaka, with karma. In English, we call them transitive verbs. And the verbs or dhatus which doesn't have this karma, they are called as akarmaka or intransitive verbs. So as of now, this is another addition in the classification of dhatus. As of now, you know they were of three types: parasmaipadi, atmanepadi, and ubhayapadi. Apart from this, you know, like dhatus, all the dhatus, 2000 dhatus are divided into 10 different ganas or groups: bhavadi gana, divadi gana, like that. And now the third thing is coming here, like verbs are, the dhatus are either sakarmaka or akarmaka. So let's see, depending on this, what change we will see. So before that, let's understand this karta karma and the question more in more detail. So sa dhanam yachati. So if you see, so yachati is the verb. So that you have to figure out. From ti I can figure out. Root of this verb is yach. Yach means to give. So yachati means somebody giving. So sa is the feminine, means sa yachati, that girl or lady gives. So now we are not interested in agent of the sentence, because agent is very clear. She is giving. So this sa is the pronoun, is the agent. We are interested in kim yachati. Will ask on the verb kim, what he is giving, and reply you will get from this sentence: he is giving dhanam, he is giving money. So now you are getting a reply for this verb. You will classify this verb as sakarmaka. This verb has object. This is a transitive verb. Similarly, sa shlokam vadati. Again, that girl or lady is speaking or chanting shloka. Again, we will try to figure out if this verb has karma. So we'll say kim vadati, what she is asking or what she is speaking. So you are getting a question answer like shlokam, patham, anything can be. So again, this is sakarmaka. Similarly, for yam parvatam pashyati. So this girl is seeing the mountain. Kim pashyati, we will get whatever she is seeing or whatever who is seeing, parvatam. So the verb is again sakarmaka. Similarly, if you ask khadati, he is eating. So you can ask, again, this is not only applied to Sanskrit, you can apply to other languages also. If somebody says he is eating, so you will say, okay, what is the verb in this eating? So you will ask what he is eating. So if you get a reply, then you will say it's a transitive verb. It's a sakarmaka verb. You can get reply, he is eating some sweet or something, food or bhojanam here, like lunch or dinner. Then I am this boy, Sheetal Peyam Pibati. Sheetal Peyam means something drinkable which is cold. So you can say cold drink, you can say, or anything else. So you can ask the question, Kim Pibati, what he is drinking? Obvious answer you will get. Something he is drinking. So that is why Pibati also comes into sakarmaka category. Now comes the sentence like this. Balika hasati. Now if you ask this, what he is laughing? So now you see, you will find like you are not going to get any answer. What he is laughing is not a proper question on this verb. Now if you get the essence of it, now you can see this verb doesn't have karma. So this is a different. Hasati or has dhatu is akarmaka. This will not have any karma. So then you will write balika hasati. What he is laughing is not the valid question. Similarly, like saha asti, he is there. So what he is there is not a valid question. So again, as dhatu or asti verb is akarmaka. Ramaha tisthati. Sorry, Rama is standing. What he is standing? It's a invalid kind of question. So again, because it doesn't sound like proper, you will get any answer, or the question itself doesn't sound proper. It is because this particular verb is akarmaka. They are intransitive verbs. So you had to figure out this only in this chapter, and with this, if you know the sakarmaka, akarmaka now, if even 50%, then we'll say how many type of voices are there. So in English, we know there are two kind of sentences, active voice and passive voice. So in Sanskritam, there are three kind of sentences. Kartari. Kartari means active voice. Karmani. Karmani means passive voice. Now if you see, this kartari is some distorted form of karta, and this is some distorted form of karma. Right? So how this distortion is happening, this you will learn in this course, and at the end you will be able to get meaning of these your own. So kartari, karmani. So this is active, this is passive, and third kind also is there, which is called as bhave. Bhave prayoga. So three kind of voices are there. This is active, this is passive, this is called as in English impersonal. So let's see when a sentence is kartari, when it is karmani. So when kriya and karta are in sync, when the action happening and the doer of action are in sync. Sync means if the number of any of these changes, vachana is changes, then other also changes. If I say saha gachati, so now you see the doer also is singular and gachati also is singular. If I say tau gachati, then my sentence is wrong. I have to tell tau gachataha. If dual are the doer, then action also will go in dual. So verb is changing depending on karta. Because of that kind of sentences are called as kartari prayoga or active voice. So whatever we are reading currently, whatever sentences and whatever we will read in this whole book, they all are of this type, kartari prayoga. Passive voice you will read in next semester or the second level. Similarly, if verb starts following the karma, the object, if somehow a sentence is there where verb is following the karma, then that prayoga or that voice will be called as karmani or passive voice. So when passive voice thing is there, when the prayoga is karmani, but kriya is akarmaka, kriya doesn't have karma. So there is a, means this is a situation, because you are saying kriya is going to follow karma, but the dhatu from which the kriya is generated is akarmaka, it doesn't have any karma. So that kind of usage is called as bhave prayoga or impersonal voice. So that is special to Sanskritam. So it is usually not found in other languages. So even you cannot translate it into English. If you have to translate these kind of sentences, you will convert this into active voice first, then from active voice you will translate. So all our current sentences are in kartari. So since all our current sentences are in kartari, you can see in kartari prayoga, karma is optional, because all the sentences, whatever you learned in chapter 1, 2, 3 are mostly two-word sentences. Saha gachati, sa pibati. So there is no karma. So from that learning, you can tell like karma is optional in kartari prayoga. So with this, we'll go to our, just give me a minute. We'll go to quickly see our book. So, okay. So here you can see, this is your Sukti, Udyoginam Purusha Simham Upaiti Lakshmihi. So same thing, prosperity draws near a man who is perseverant, brave like lion. Leave it. So Bhutkalaha is a past tense. Then Pratham Purusha Ekvachana. Now you see Saha Akridat, Eshaha Atishtat. Everything starting from A, ending in this. These verbs are, you can immediately figure out the Parasmaipadis. So I will not go in detail of this, but I will come to questions so that you can practice something. So this all, whatever I taught is there, and let me know if still people don't have book. I will share this after class. So this is the Kartari Prayoga and all those things we said. As of now, you don't need to read this, because this you will get confused. In 5th chapter, once we'll study, then we'll do this thing again. It will not require to do that. You will understand your own. So again, there are numbers. Numbers are again very small. You have to just remember, like smaller number comes first. So if you know that 50 is Panchashat, then you know everything. 51 to 60. एक पंचाशत, द्विपंचाशत, त्रिपंचाशत, चतुर्पंचाशत, पंचपंचाशत, like that. Then Shashti is the 60. So ek Shashti, Dvishashti, like that. It is very simple. So I hope you will be able to learn. There is nothing I can teach also in this because it is you have to learn. Mostly you should know the number till 60 because all the time and all you have to tell, then it will be there. So I would now request some participation. First, if you have any question till now, then ask that, and otherwise we'll do some small these things by our own. I will ask the person, and you can try to answer it. So, if you have any question, let me know first. Anyone?
Sir,
Yes.
I just have a suggestion, not a question. Can I
Please,
suggest
please,
one thing?
please, please.
When you are teaching the kriyas
Mm-hmm.
and Pratham Purush, Madhyam Purush, Uttam Purush,
Mm-hmm.
then if you teach it in the tabular form, it will be more easily
Uh,
understandable.
I
Because I've
understand
also
that.
read the table.
Yeah, I
The table
understand that.
is,
Actually,
yeah,
what that your point is correct, but initially when I started, it was in that only, but I intentionally didn't use them. So because most of the tabular things are for remembering, and people immediately go for remembering. So that is why I am using this mind map. So these are called as mind map. So anything you have to remember, this is a kind of, you can say, latest technology or way of representing, so that your mind makes a map inside. So I'm trying to
yeah,
use this instead of using the traditional way. If you see a table, and all the cases, mostly it is for remembering. I don't want you to remember. My intention is that you
okay,
keep that one side and you practice. That is why every time I'm telling also, like, don't remember, practice. So
okay.
other everyone or every other person's approach is to remember the thing first. I'm not saying anybody wrong or right, but when I started, like, my first question when I started learning, my first question to myself or the my colleagues or whoever I was learning with was, if you tell that the language is scientific, then why I need to remember so many things to begin with? It is just contradictory, right? If something is scientific, then there should be a process. If I get one side of this and I know how to open this thing, I will keep on going opening it, right? So when I started, I never learned remembered anything. So this was my first condition to myself, and this I had very clear. Like, I will not remember. I will learn by practice. So that is what I want you people also. But if you just give a try, if you feel like it is not working out, then anyway, tables are there everywhere.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Understood.
Yeah. So just give me some days to do this exercise. If it is meaningful, then good. Otherwise, tables are available. So okay. So here the question is, let's do some question. So what I can do, I will make this thing available here. So this thing is available. We'll switch it to. Uh, So the question is, change the following sentences into past tense. So sa nindati. So somebody first tell me the meaning of this. What is sa nindati means?
Sir, can I?
Yeah, yeah.
She is standing.
Mm, and no. What is the dhatu in this?
Nindati.
Nindati
Ninda.
is the verb. Ninda is the dhatu. Ninda means
Titradu. Scolding.
not scolding. The exact English word I don't know, but there is something called fie upon, or saying bad words to somebody. So scolding is something different. It is saying something bad. So nind is the dhatu.
Swearing, using swear words or cursing.
Near, something near to that. Even cursing is
Sir, rebuke.
something more. Anyway, so nind means, nind is the dhatu. Nindati. Nindati means somebody is saying, who is saying that that the sayer is male or female?
Female, feminine gender.
How many people are saying this thing?
One person.
So in which time they are saying, currently, or they already said?
Present tense.
Present tense. So this,
Present.
so you know, you see, you know all, right? So this way, if you learn, it is, I feel, faster. Now let's convert it into past tense. So is this sa will change?
No.
No.
Right? Nindati, what is the root? Nind.
Anindat.
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 So the T is telling that this form is Parasmaipadi. So now if you see here, initially you are saying for Pratham Purusha Ek Vachana, root will be in middle. One side will be A, other side will be Ta. So here it will become Sa Anindat. Like here, Chhatraha Apathat. Pat is the in between, A comes first, Ta goes there. Don't see any table, don't see anything. Just try to, first three you learn and just try to. Let's try this one. Shunakaha bhashanti. Anyone?
Shunakaha abhashan.
First meaning of Shunakaha bhashanti. What you understood from that?
I don't know the meaning.
Okay. Shunakaha. It is plural or singular?
Plural. Third.
It is
Bahuvachan.
Bahuvachanam, and it is masculine or feminine?
Masculine.
Masculine. Shunakaha. So if it is masculine, then for singular, what will be the word?
Shunakaha.
Shunakaha. Shunakaha is dog. Right?
Okay.
So Shunakaha bhashanti. Bhash means to speak, and bhash means to bark. So bhashati, bhashataha, bhashanti. So dogs are barking is the present tense meaning. Now convert into past tense. Shunaka.
Sir, can I?
Abhashat, abhashatam, abhashan.
So if you see here, it is root, one side a, one side na. Abhashan. So
Yes.
Shunakaha bhashan.
Abhashan.
Similarly, Parnam patati. What is the verb?
Pata means falling. Falls.
Patati is the verb. Pat is the dhatu. There is a subtle distinction you have to see. Patati is the verb. It is the padam. It is the thing. It is the cooked form which will be used. The raw form of this is pat. Pat means to fall. So that is called as dhatu, right? So
Yes.
Paranam patati. How many? What is paranam?
Leaves, sir.
Is it leaf?
Leaves, yes. So how many leaves are falling?
One leaf.
Many leaves.
Many.
Patati is bahuvachana?
One leaf.
One leaf, right? So yeah, so a leaf is falling. You can say, since it's a present tense, you can say a leaf is falling. You will convert in past, what will happen?
Parnam
Paranam apatat.
Yes, so it is that simple. Parnam apatat. A leaf fell. So aham namami.
I pray.
What is the meaning first?
I am
I am
praying.
namaskar.
Yeah, I do namaskar.
Saying
I
namaste.
pray.
I am praying. I am
Saying
praying.
namaste.
Praying.
So I am praying. So what is the dhatu here?
Nama.
Nam. Nam, not nama. Nam. Nam is the dhatu. Now convert it into past tense.
Aham anamat. Namat.
See here and then convert.
Aham anamam. Namam.
Yes. Aham anamam. So I prayed. Right? So with this, I think you can do this one. So now he's asking, convert into plural. It should be simple. Choraha dhanam aharat. As of now, since we read like karma part, you can drop, you leave that. Forget like these middle words are there. Chora
Yeah.
aharat. So convert it.
Choraha dhanam aharan.
Choraha aharan. Forget dhanam. Dhanam we will read in next chapter. Sa akshalayat. So meaning of this you know. Har means
To rob something.
to steal.
Yeah.
So choraha aharat. So that thief has stolen something, right? Sa patram, leave patram. Sa akshalayat. What is the meaning?
She.
What is dhatu here?
Akshalaya.
So you have to
Shalaya.
apply same thing. Remove the ta, remove the a. Rest is dhatu.
Shal.
Shalay. Shalay. Shalay means to cleanse, to clean.
Shal.
So sa patram. So that girl or lady is cleaning
Cleaning utensils.
or utensils. So convert it into plural. Those girls
Taha
cleaning utensils. Taha
akshalayan.
akshalayan. So simple, as simple as that. So only refuses practice. There is no other way. Now we'll go to some parasmaipadi, atmanepadi. So here shlaghate. Shlaghate is to appreciate. Somebody is appreciating. Convert it into past, singular and plural. Shlaghate. Here.
Ashlaghat.
Ashlaghat. And past. Oh, sorry, plural. Plural also is there. No?
Ashlaghanta.
Ashlaghant. As simple as that. So initially, if you keep this thing in front of you and just make the sentences, don't think like you are cheating or copying, because you are training your mind. If anyone of you know there is a big buzzword everywhere you might be learning these days, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this is how machines also learn. You keep on giving them data, they will keep on seeing the pattern. Initially they will tell everything wrong, but after a time when they will learn, then they will be damn good. Now you see Google Maps, you tell I want to go from here to there, it will give you in metro cities. Only difference will come by 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Otherwise it will exactly tell you like what time you will reach. So that all is coming from learning. So if machines are learning, we also can learn. So we'll make some these sentences. So this here root is given, and you have to use the root and form a past tense sentence. So Rugnaha Vedanam, again Vedanam, leave it. Rugnaha means I think our Maharashtra living people know it. What is Rugnaha?
Rugnaha. Is it hospital?
That is Rugnalaya.
Rugnaha. Is it some disease?
No, it is a sick person or the patient.
Okay.
So Alaya is the house. So Rugnalaya means the place of sick people. So like Vidyalaya. So place of Vidya, knowledge, that is school.
Yes.
And similarly Shauchalaya, place where one go and refresh themselves, right? So that is the toilet or something. So Alaya is the word, and next you can add. So Rugna is that. Saha is Atmanepadi, this thing, root. So now tell me what will be the past tense. Leave the middle one. Rugnaha. I will say the present tense. Rugnaha sate.
Asagat.
Asahat. Rugnaha asahat. Saha means to tolerate, right? So asahat means he went through something. Kamp. Kamp means to shake or shiver, shake, you can say. Prikshaha kampante is the present tense word. What will be the past?
Kampan.
No. Plural. Vrikshaha kampante. Past also should be
Kampatan, kampan, right?
akampanta. Here you see
Kampan.
Avandanta. So vanda is the dhatu, anta is adding, and a is adding. So akampanta,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So like that is there. So last type of question is this. Balika pathati. Figure out, is it akarmaka or akarmaka?
Balika sakarmaka. Not
Sakarmakah.
akarmaka.
Why?
No object.
No. It is not that way. So it is the property of verb that it can support object or not. In sentence, it is wish of the speaker. He want to use object or not. But it is like inherent. The verb, if that doesn't have capability of supporting object. So here Balika Pathati is written. But if you ask the question what she is reading, so still it's a valid question, right? Verb is not telling like I can't tell you. Here it is not told, but the question is valid, right? So you will say the verb patha takes karma. It is sakarmaka. But in this sentence, it is not, karma is not written. There is a difference, right? You got that difference, or I need to explain it again? Jayanti Bhagini?
Tell again, sir. I don't follow.
Okay. So there are two things. One thing is the inherent quality of the verb root. So verb root takes the karma or not, right? So that is one part. Other part is in one sentence, because we told like in Kartari Prayoga, karma is optional. So other part is I am using karma or not, right? So here I am not using the karma, but if I ask question on the verb, the action, the question is valid. So verb is sakarmaka, but here karma is not there in this sentence. This contrast one, if you see, gajaha tisthati. Ask the same question here. What is the meaning of this?
Tishtati means standing.
Stands, standing. Who is standing?
Elephant.
Elephant. One
Gaja.
elephant is standing. So ask the question, what tisthati? Does it make any sense? What stands? Not who. What stands?
No.
So that is why it is akarmaka. Here in first case it was optional. You still can write in between. Balika shlokam pathati, Balika shlokan pathati, Balika patham pathati, Balika ramayanam pathati, Balika anything you can say. Din darishikam pathati. But here you cannot insert that thing here, because the verb itself is not having the capacity of having the karma. So that is, because of that it is called as akarmaka. So with this I am done with today's thing. If anyone has any question regarding, feel free to ask.